Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Cage. I'm your host, Jim Graham, and joining me today on the line, we have a special guest. He will be fighting on the main card of UFC New Jersey, Saturday, January 30th. He is Super Sage Northcutt. And Sage, thanks for joining me here on Beyond the Cage.
Thanks for having me.
You had a opponent change for this fight. Originally, you were supposed to take on Andrew Holbrook. Now you are taking on Bryan Barberena. Has the change in opponent altered your preparation for this fight at all, Sage?
No, sir. The preparation hasn't changed. Really, the weight class has changed, obviously, fighting from 155. And just with 1 week's notice, pretty much, just a few days before I came down here to New Jersey, finding out that my opponent that I was going to fight at 155 broke his foot, so we had to pull out of the fight, means that my new opponent that I'm going to fight is at 170 welterweight. So he currently had a fight planned for a few weeks after the fight that I was going to have now, and that fight got changed so he could fight me. So getting to fight at welterweight now, I get to eat up, be really strong, and with the 1 week's notice, now I'm going to get to feel great.
As you just mentioned there, Sage, this fight at 170, normally fight at 155, but you just being 19 years old, still growing into your body, do you feel that this fight at 170 may be a sign of your future in the UFC?
Sure, yes, sir. It's definitely great. I believe that I know it's only with 1 week's notice, so if I did fight welterweight again in the future, I would obviously have more time to eat up, be even stronger, have a lot more muscle packed on my body for the fight at welterweight, and it'd be different out there, if that makes sense.
Since your debut fight in October for the UFC, you have been all over the place and have met a lot of the top fighters in the sport, and I was wondering, have you been kind of starstruck at all meeting some of these fighters?
Oh, I wouldn't say starstruck, but I've enjoyed meeting so many fighters, so many great fighters. I got to meet GSP and train with GSP, so that was obviously really cool, and he's a super nice guy, and that was definitely fun.
Speaking of George St. Pierre, of course, you got to train with him and the folks there at TriStar in Montreal. And how was that experience training with GSP and everybody at TriStar?
Not only GSP, everybody there is super nice, very friendly. And not just him. I've heard from multiple people to take it slow, take one fight at a time, to not only grow as a fighter, but to get to keep learning technique and getting better and better. Especially because I'm so young, being 19, that I still have so much time to keep growing and learning. And I believe that's super important too.
Now, of course, you are originally from Texas and have spent most of your life living and training in Texas. So how different was it to train up there in Montreal, Canada?
Oh, Montreal was definitely way different. It was it actually felt like New Jersey right now with how cold it is. It was snowing when I got down there, and it was definitely freezing outside.
Did you learn any French while you were in Montreal?
Oh, I did actually. I even tried to get my GPS to learn it while we were driving around, and my GPS was having a hard time.
Jim Graham talking with Super Sage Northcutt here on Beyond the Cage. You can follow Sage on Twitter. It's just his name, at Sage Northcutt. And Sage, looking at your new opponent in Bryan Barberena, what does he bring to the table that you're going to have to look out for come January 30th?
Actually, believe it or not, I don't know too much about my opponent, my new opponent that's scheduled for me to fight. So I'm always going out there to finish my opponents and finish them as quickly as possible, and that's still the plan is what it would have been for my fight at 155 at lightweight.
Looking a little in-depth at Bryan Barberena, he has 8 of his 10 career victories by knockout. Couple that with your amazing striking and knockout power as well. Do you feel that this fight will be an entertaining one for the fans to watch?
I believe it will definitely be entertaining, and I always try to go out there in my fights and have a great time, have fun, and put on a great show. So I believe that all my fights are hopefully entertaining, and especially my fights in the future are definitely entertaining. So I believe it would definitely be an entertaining fight.
Unlike your last 2 fights, which were on the UFC Fight Pass, this fight will be on national broadcast television on Fox. And how cool is it that you'll be on the main card on Fox?
This is super cool. And actually, UFC Fight Pass is super awesome too. So UFC Fight Pass is awesome. You can watch it on your computer. You can plug it in the TV and watch it on the TV from your computer and watch it pretty much anywhere that you go. So that's great about UFC Fight Pass. And just like that, Fox is awesome too. So getting to fight on Fox, that's a big honor, and it's super awesome because it appeals to different people around the world.
Looking at the main event of your fight there in New Jersey, Ryan Bader takes on Anthony Rumble Johnson. How do you think that one's going to play out, Sage?
They're definitely both very great fighters, and that's going to be an exciting fight for sure. So I'm excited to see what happens. I never really predict fights, but it's definitely going to be exciting, and I know the fans and everybody that's going to be tuning in to watch it is definitely excited for that one too.
Want to get your thoughts, Sage, on a couple of things in the news right now for mixed martial arts. First, because it pertains to your division, the lightweight division, how do you feel about Conor McGregor, the 145 champion, jumping up to 155 and getting a immediate title shot?
Oh, that's exciting. We'll get to see what happens, and Conor McGregor's he's great for the sport, so he's definitely awesome, and he's a great fighter. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that fight and him moving up to 155. That's great.
Earlier in the week, Fabricio Verdum pulled out of his title fight after Stipe Miocic said that he would replace Cain Velasquez for the main event of UFC 196. And I was wondering, do you agree with Fabricio to pull out of that fight after Stipe was announced as the injury replacement, Sage?
You know, I haven't heard of that really, so I can't really comment on that, and I'm not really sure what exactly is going on with everything that has to do with that, because I'm actually in New Jersey right now and I haven't got to hear much about that, so I can't comment on it, or else I would.
Now, your fight, Sage, is in New Jersey, but just a short train ride north in New York. They have still yet to legalize mixed martial arts, and considering how long you've been doing kickboxing and karate and now MMA, are you still surprised that the state of New York has yet to legalize MMA?
Oh, I'm sure that not only me, but a lot of people would have to think and wonder why it's not. And it sure is going to be awesome when it is legalized in New York. That way the UFC can go to New York. And New Jersey's pretty close to New York. I think I might be able to see New York from here. All
right, Sage, I got a fun question for you. Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Ooh, favorite Ninja Turtle. Man, they're all so different. They're all really funny. So I like all the Ninja Turtles, every single one. If you could be every Ninja Turtle at once, that'd be something.
All right, Sage, I'll get you out of here with this. Do you have any prediction for your fight against Barberena on Saturday, January 30th?
No, sir, no predictions. I always go out there to finish my opponents and to finish them as quickly as possible. So that's what I'm going out there to do.
Once again, he is Super Sage Northcutt. You can follow him on Twitter at Sage Northcutt. And Sage, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it and look forward to your fight on Saturday, January 30th against Bryan Barberena.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Once again, that was Sage Northcutt right here on Beyond the Cage.